Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here, and today we are here with the fated and long-awaited review of the final season of Jurassic World Chaos Theory. You have no idea how surreal it feels to be here. In my time on this channel, I have covered both Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory in nearly their entirety. I have walked the journey with this show from its inception. I remember first seeing this on Netflix back in 2020, a year just before I wrapped up high school, thinking that it was gonna be just some lame kids cartoon that tried to use the Jurassic World trilogy IP to reel in a bunch of new fans to an already mediocre trilogy and franchise at the time. And you know what's even funny? Back then we actually did have hope for Jurassic World, because this was after Fallen Kingdom came out and before Dominion, so there was at least a bit of hope, a bit of, just like a glimmer of sunshine being like maybe Dominion can be good. And now here we are. How funny the times have changed and how quickly things don't go as we plan. And now here we are with me as a fully grown man. Not even close. But if you told past me that this series would end up being great, and its sequel series becoming not just one of my favorite Jurassic Park things, but favorite cartoons in general, I'd have slapped you and blocked you on all platforms. Anyway, with memory lane revisited and past me proven severely wrong, let's talk about how and why this series is Jurassic Park at its best. Firstly, I just want to state that most of the footage in this video does come from different Jurassic World YouTubers, and I'm just kind of like borrowing clips here and there because, as I mentioned in previous videos, Universal is very, very stingy when it comes to their clips, and it's very hard for me to like work around them. Universal and Lego, my worst enemies when it comes to like just talking about them on this channel. So I do kind of borrow from other YouTubers because they got through the censorship and I'm able to at least kind of use that my own way. Don't worry, I do edit around their clips and I do bring in my own clips to make the videos flow smoothly and at least bring my own style and vision to the video. That way I'm not just fully plagiarizing. But because it's just the right thing to do, I will link all of the channels I did borrow footage from down in the description below. So check out all of those channels. From what I can tell, they're all great. These are all, just genuine good guys who are giving their thoughts on the show. And I just want to join in the party as well. So again, their channel links and their names will all be in the description below. Check them out. Alright, with that said, one of the first things I want to address with this new season is how strange it is that it only has 9 episodes compared to the 10 the other 3 seasons had. I know that this is such a small, borderline meaningless detail I'm pointing out, but as a proud even number fan, something inside me was just slightly bothered seeing this story tap out at 39 episodes instead of a clean 40. With that said, I am glad the story didn't overstay its welcome, and compacting everything into 9 episodes was, at the end, the right choice. Anyway, with that dumb tangent out of the way, let's talk about the actual content of this season, starting with the main thing we see, that being the animation. This series continues to outdo itself with the animation, and this season is no different. I love the attention to detail that persists, and I appreciate how far they're willing to go in some places. Even though we couldn't get a full look at Ben's injury, I do appreciate the little blood we were allowed to see, and I also like how Ben gets more and more pale as the episodes drag on, really allowing the tension to sink in. I will say though, while I think the basic animation is top tier, I can't say the same for the set pieces. This season takes place in 2 major locations, the Biosyn Labs and the Valley itself, and those are not the most exciting places for a finale story to happen. After a while, the Biosyn Labs became really monotonous and it was clear that they were just using the same hallway over and over for different scenes. You'd expect the forest itself to be a bit livelier, but that was also quite lackluster. For the first half of the season, it was mostly drab and grey, with not a lot of interesting set pieces or locations to offer outside the tree labs. Things do change once the fire comes in, and while that does wonders for the forest, the labs are still unfortunately boring to be in. But going back to the forest, the fire added so much atmosphere to the season and was a great way to kick off the climax. I'll talk about it more, but just know that this is a great example of taking an element from the movies and making it bigger than what was originally perceived. But yeah, even with the fire, I can't say that this was the prettiest season to look at. The bright open worlds of season 1 and 2 were much better in my opinion. And of course, the talk on animation can be capped without discussing the dinosaurs and their designs. My main issue with season 3 was that it was lacking in dinosaurs, and when we did get them, we were bombarded with the same Kentrosaurus, Pachy, and Raptor designs. This season does rectify that, but not fully. We do get some dinos from the movie, such as the Giga, the Quetzal, the Therizinosaurus, and the Dilophosaurus as our main big bad dinosaurs. There was certainly more variety this time, and it was a nice change of pace having the characters face off against dinos instead of raptors for the millionth time. But it's also not that big of a difference. The dinos are just venom spitting raptors in this show. They don't really have much of their own thing going on aside from that. Another thing I wasn't a fan of was the number of dinos we got. While variety in species was greatly appreciated, I couldn't help but notice a lot of the models were just copy and pasted. If the dinosaur wasn't relevant to the plot, the animators seemed to just clone them to make environments seem more filled in than they actually appear. I can't tell you how many times I felt like I was looking at the same Gallimimus, Raptor, Ceratopsin, Stegosaurus, and heck, even T.Rex design. Oh well, as said, it does feel fuller than Season 3 at least. Now, let's talk about what makes this series stand out from the other Jurassic projects, and that is the humans. Let it be known that the Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory series are the only pieces of Jurassic Park media where I actually care about all the main characters, and my goodness was every character done justice in this season. I haven't been so happy with a wrap-up like this in a cartoon in a long time. The character dynamics revolved around the group's reactions to Brooklyn and how much they all cared about Ben. With Brooklyn as the focus, it really does feel like the series was building up to this. Having the gang sorted their issues with her, and I appreciated how many quiet moments were given for the drama to breathe. One of my absolute favorite scenes was when Brooklyn and Kenji were fixing the car together, and Kenji explains to Brooklyn how much he's grown and how they don't see eye to eye on where their lives should go. I also like how they brought up that Brooklyn always puts the job ahead of everything else, which is a major factor as to why she and Darius couldn't be together. But we'll get on that later.
But it's not worth my time being mad anymore. I deserve to not be mad.
Another great character interaction was between Yasmina and Ben. After Ben gets his injury, Yaz explains to him how much he means to the group, and both admit that they love each other in the most platonic way possible. As for Yaz and Sami, I always knew they were gonna get back together, so I didn't have much to say there other than I like how their spark never left, and they still treated each other with the utmost respect and admiration, so I guess that's something. Ben finally got to shine as well in this season. I was unsure how I felt about him getting injured at first. Not only was the moment where it happened really shocking, not even taking into account that Brooklyn was willing to commit suicide. But what they did with him afterward was really stellar. We got to see how much he means to the team and how much he has contributed to the series despite starting off as the wimpy sunscreen boy. He and Kenji, hands down, have the best development in the entire series. And of course, I can't forget the two characters at the center of the storm, that being Darius and Brooklyn, and whether or not they would get together. Now, as I've said in previous videos, I was not in love with the idea of Darius and Brooklyn getting together. I thought the idea of romance between them was cliche, uninspired, and borderline character assassination. At this point in the story, their characters were not built for each other, and I was worried the writers would force them to get together because it's what the story demands, or what the fans want. And I'm not kidding, the fans were starving for Darius x Brooklyn, aka Dinosaur, to be a thing. And I, being a day one anti-Dinosaur shipper, knew full well that I was in the minority with that take. I knew it was only a matter of time before the writers caved in to the demands of the audience. So you can imagine my joy when that didn't happen, and I couldn't be more grateful. Darius and Brooklyn also get a mature conversation where he tells her that he seems to love differently than others and doesn't want with her what Sami and Yaz or Ben and Gia have. Darius's arc was about him getting disillusioned by his ideal version of Brooklyn versus her real version, and then having to call her out on her actions because he does love and respect her, just not in the way we were expecting. He was able to do some self-reflection and come to that conclusion on his own. And before I get some angry commenters in here telling me, well, what was the point of all that build-up then? Why would Darius keep Brooklyn so close to his heart if it wasn't romantic? Why did the writers waste our time? And again, he clearly loves differently. Darius has his own way of showing affection and he's planning on working on it by the end of the series, so it does come out properly in the future. And no, the writers didn't waste our time. Having Darius be exposed to Sammy and Yaz and Bren and Gia's relationships helped shape him into knowing what he wants, even if it's not exactly what they're having. And this is not even mentioning how Brooklyn fits into all of this. As I mentioned earlier, Brooklyn is far from the most perfect person in the cast, and her major flaw is that she puts her job above all else. Excusing the fact that she's not fit for Darius on a basic level, there's just no way she can match his love for dinosaurs, her callousness and fake treatment to other people at the time does not make her fit for a relationship. Relationships are meant to be real, and Brooklyn has spent so much time acting that it will be difficult for her to show her real self when trying to be intimate. Again, look at what happens when she tries to go full mask off and accept every consequence at the same time. She very clearly needs to work on herself. All of this leads to them at the end of the series healing, rediscovering who they are and what they mean to each other. They both clearly love each other, but they are nowhere near ready for a proper relationship or something more. And I love that about this show. It shows how messy and complicated people can be, and sometimes not everything can be wrapped up with a nice little bow. These two may be ready to date later or never, but what matters now is that they have each other and will figure out the answer together. And I think that's a very solid ending for these characters. And because I care so much about these characters, it made the thrills that much more authentic and tension-filled. I am not kidding you guys, this season had so much tension, arguably the most out of this whole show. I found myself holding my breath on more than one occasion. The most impressive scene to me was one that didn't even have a dinosaur in it, and that was the car in the tree scene. Seeing all these characters try their best not to freak out in a perilous situation was unnerving. Kenji was the most calm of the group and helped the others get down to safety. And it was such a perfect moment for his character to shine, as before the series began, he was a rock climbing guide. So seeing him put his skills to the test here was very cathartic and a real full circle moment. All of these thrills led to my favorite aspect of the season, and that was Ben getting injured. I love how the finale didn't revolve around the question, could the six survive this? Because we all knew the answer to that. But more so, could Ben survive this? The possibility of having one member of the camp fam die instead of all six actually raised the stakes and made everything feel that much more intense. The cliffhanger in episode 8 was cheap as hell though, and doesn't make sense if you think about it for more than 5 seconds. With that said, my favorite episode of the season though that captured this stress perfectly was episode 6 titled Fire. Ben gets injured and the forest is set on fire from the events of Dominion. Ben is injured, the world is on fire, and the gang are being chased by Therizinosaurus. Everything is against them, yet despite all the odds, they make it to the vet bay and reunite with Bumpy. I'm pretty sure this is the episode where Yaz gives a big speech to Ben as well, and it's all so good! This is definitely the series at its best, and it displays how strong all these characters are and what they mean to each other. Speaking real quick on the Theory and the Giga, while they're not in the season much, they did pose big threats, and I honestly think they were better handled and given more characterization than in Dominion. This season really showed the characters getting dragged through hell and coming out victorious, and if you know me, you know I'm addicted to those types of stories. In conclusion, I loved Season 4 of Chaos Theory, and I'm very much impressed. This season, more than anything, made it its mission to tell us, the audience, that family and togetherness is what is most important, and that we can overcome anything with it. I think this is a great finale to a fantastic show, and a beautiful wrap-up to 2 shows of great storytelling and character development. More cartoons need to take notes from this show on how to end a series in a satisfying manner, and the movies need to take notes on how to make a good Jurassic Park project. I couldn't imagine a better ending than this for the characters, and despite what some fans want, I genuinely don't want them to do a continuation. Leave the rebirth dino crap alone. The Nubla 6 deserve to have their happy ending, damn it! And so, I'll give the final season of Chaos Theory a very strong 8 out of 10, placing it 3rd place on my ranking behind season 1 and 2. Go watch this show if you haven't already. Anyways guys, that's gonna be all from me today. Tell me, what did you think of Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory? Do you like these Jurassic World spin-offs? Do you think they're better than the movies? Do you want to see more of the Nubla 6? And what did you think of the ending? Let me know all your thoughts there in the comments below. And as always, let's have a discussion. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Be sure to like if you like, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell to be part of the team, slap a cow, and with that, I've been Captain Phoenix, and I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my Rangers.